Okay. Can you hear me okay, Pepsi?
Yeah, you good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really well, thanks. Yeah, really well. I've got 30 minutes, Addy. 3-0. Yeah.
Okay, excellent, for sure. Yeah, well, I just want to know how you doing, how your week's gone. Yeah, just yeah, how you doing this week?
Yeah, I'm very well. I'm in good spirits. I'm in good health. I've been resting, studying, reading, writing. Um, I've been there's, there's a bunch of IPPs on the unit, so I've just been getting to know them, listening to their stories, trying to help and support them in any way that I can. Um, I've been making some food, cooking some food, which is always nice to do. I've been I was I was inspired by our last chat, our last conversation when we were talking about Robert Greene and his book, The Laws of Human Nature. So I was kind of thinking about and reflecting a lot on some of the chapters, and so yeah, that's what I've been doing that this week, and I've been zipping through Malcolm X as well. I've nearly finished the Malcolm X.
Oh wow, that's awesome, man. And so you got a kitchen on your wing?
Now the governor shut all the kitchens down, so you just have to cook in your cell. You have to cook in your cell. You have to. There's ways where you can cook in your cell and put some rice and tuna together with some spices, and whip something up like that.
Oh wow. And
Yeah.
I had a question, Pepsi, because I think people around the world are dealing with loneliness. A lot of them are being lonely, and you are in solitude for the most part right now, right? I mean, has your lockdown changed at all?
Nah, it's just rule 23-hour lockdown. It's continuous, prolonged. Come out for 50, 55 minutes. That time just obviously flies by, zips by, before you know it. Within that time, you've got to decide whether you want fresh air, shower, you've got to empty a bin, sweep your floor, have some human interaction with other people, and then you're behind your door, back with yourself, having to confront yourself. I've had lots of mail cards this week, and like I said last time, everyone is always speaking about how hard it is for them, and that this test of solitude, being with yourself. And I've spoken about it before as this solitude that we're all faced with because of the lockdown as being something representative of, of of a huge test. Rarely is there a greater test than when faced with with solitude. And like I said, I would urge people to have a positive attitude towards it and to embrace this solitude as an opportunity. It's very difficult to sit with self. That's why when we meditate and we put a timer on of 5 or 10 or 20 minutes, we're popping our eyeballs open after 60 seconds, thinking, oh, is the timer run out yet? Because it's so hard to sit with self. All the senses, all the five senses are outward. So when we close our eyes, we're forced to look inward, and that's what I would encourage people to do: to close their eyes and to look inward, and to try and observe the mind, and to try and develop some kind of control over it. It's very, very hard. It's probably one of the most hardest things in life to do is to control the mind and to train the mind. It's more difficult than conquering armies or nations. It's that difficult. It's so hard to do, to sit with yourself, to look inward, and to train the mind. But a trained mind brings health and happiness. If you think of like a skilled archer, of the analogy I would use, because that someone who's wise and who is skilled in controlling their mind can direct their thoughts, and one thought can create just amazing joy. Yeah, it's very subtle and elusive. So yeah, that's what I'd encourage people to do. Robert Greene. I mentioned Robert Greene, how how I was sort of reflecting on his teachings in this groundbreaking book, The Laws of Human Nature. So Greene talks about in one of his chapters a concept which he calls elevated perspective. Addy, he talks about elevated perspective. So what he's talking about is like a pinnacle in human intellect that humanity has not yet achieved, right? So he's talking about human nature, the way that we constantly are reacting to the present, yeah? So we without elevated perspective, so it could be anything. It could be a problem, a challenge. It could be winning an award, or someone coming into your life who you think's amazing, like a friend or a partner, and then later on down the line, because we don't have elevated perspective, we can't see into the future. That person then causes us, lifelong emotional damage, or this problem causes us a whole host of difficulties that we couldn't foresee at the time. Because the years teach us much, which the days do not, right? Time reveals reality. So he's encouraging us to tap into this pinnacle of human intelligence that he says that we haven't yet realized. So if you think of it as a mountain, walking up the mountain and looking down on your current reality, and the way that he explains that we can do this, the techniques is to just temporarily withdraw from situations that we constantly react to in the present, yeah, to revise our long-term goals, yeah. And most of the time, more often than not, the best course of action is to do nothing, and to just wait things out. And like he says, review our long-term goals. So it's like this stuff is so revolutionary, Addy. Like I'd never really kind of thought about it and reflected on it until we had our conversation, and I started thinking about this concept outlined in Robert Greene's book, and the ramifications of this concept of Greene's, in my opinion, is massive. The ramifications of humanity expediting this elevated perspective, this pinnacle of human intellect, this elevated perspective, like I said, I feel is massive. I would even go as far as to say it could threaten the very notion of, or the hypothesis of, all laws governing a deterministic universe, the laws of cause and effect, because if the human animal, the most sublime thinking animal, the most, the best of the best of all animals, can see into the future, because elevated perspective is seeing into the future, from the top of the mountain looking down. If this can be realized, then effect can be manipulated. Predetermination is then is compromised, right?
Right, yeah. Wow, this is really deep stuff, Pepsi.
He was asked time and time again. If you think of Albert Einstein, his theory of relativity, I mean, most of what he wrote was arguably worthy of Nobel Prizes. I mean, it was that incredible at the time, and still is. And most of the time when Albert Einstein was asked about the existence of God or a God, he would give a range of different answers, none of which would include either yes or no. But what Einstein spoke of, Addy, he spoke of a universe marvelously arranged, and a universe obeying certain laws that we only dimly understand. Yeah, Einstein spoke of a subtlety. This what he described as a subtlety, a mysteriousness, a wonder that is apparent within all existence, be it a raindrop, a chrysanthemum, a flower, or a moon or a planet. So realizing the elevated perspective spoken of by Green, this human mind, evolutionary intellect pinnacle, in my opinion, could lead us to tapping into this subtlety that Einstein talks about, this mysteriousness that Einstein was hinting at. It could be God, yeah? And that's why, in my opinion, this book of Robert Greene's is revolutionary. It's revolutionary, and I would encourage anyone to go and get a copy and read it, and in their solitude, if they're bored.
Yeah, that is some really, really deep stuff there, Pepsi. And that book is The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene for those people that are just tuning in. But I just want to relay some hellos, Pepsi, because I'm actually doing this live. Judy, Quadrex, Phoebe are all tuned in. They send their love and their thoughts. They say hi. They're sending their support. Dolly as well. So yeah, they're all tuned in and send their love and support to you, Pepsi.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's completely reciprocated, and yeah, I'll send all my love and kind regards to them and for their continued support. Yeah, I'm touched and humble. Thank you.
Pepsi, do you have a good way to explain your the way you read a book? Like, or how is there a good way to read a book? Would you say, or and likewise with writing too? They might be, or they probably are different answers. But how is your writing process developing as well?
Yeah, they're good questions. I mean, I read in a manner which is very unorthodox. I read simultaneously multiple different books at the same time. I have them all on a table next to me, and that's just the way that I read. So, I mean, I'm like 120 into mastery now. I'm nearly at the end of Malcolm X. I've been learning about Malcolm X, his struggles with the horrendous racism that him and his family suffered when he was a child, and how that impacted on his personality and on his life as a young man. And then when he went to Harlem. So yeah, he's now currently in prison. The bit that I'm up to, I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. I'm also reading a book about the Playland scandal, which is which was a VIP elite paedophile ring in London, involving very high establishment figures. So yeah, that's kind of how I read. I read like lots of different books at the same time. It's quite unorthodox. With regards to writing, I will be inspired by something. Everything will come from a thought. So one thought, the same as the most grandest architectural, magnificent buildings in the world, will come from one thought. I'll have a thought from an inspiration. It could be from a card or a letter that someone sends me, or from a lived experience, a personal experience, or it could be a particular topic that triggers emotion in me, like injustice or something oppressive, and then I'll write some notes down. I'll just start with some notes on an A4 pad that will then materialize into a first draft. Then I'll do a secondary draft. Then I'll do a first master, and then a second master. And then it's only sort of been recently, in the last kind of few months, really, where I've been constantly revising my writing and doing a third master and maybe a fourth, and leaving it for a while, then going back to it, and then I kind of can extract specific themes. Like I can extract my emotional immaturity out of it, or I can rein in the kind of sarcasm from my writing, which can not be kind of beneficial to something that I'm writing that might be a critical analysis. So yeah, just kind of writing and then rewriting. That's how I write.
Wow, that's great, Pepsi, and a good explanation. And you remind me that I'd need to go back and finish Malcolm X's autobiography because I started it, but I did not finish it. So I do need to go back and do that. Are you working as a listener right now, Pepsi, or are you just working on your writing and reading right now?
Now, I was a listener when I was in custody before on the first recall. But obviously, I came out and then returned to custody, so I'm not currently a listener in this prison. But I'm trained as a listener, and I'm trained in counselling as well. I know how to listen. I understand the skill of listening, and
Yeah.
um,
Do you have any?
again, Robert Greene in his book, going back to Robert Greene,
Mm,
he for managers and leaders, he talks about the importance of listening to others as a form of leadership, and it's very, very powerful. And when I said in the last discussion with you, his book is good for any managers or leaders, the skill of the book, that was actually it was correct, but it didn't provide the bigger picture in the sense of the skill of Robert Greene's Laws of Human Nature works is that it's a great book for anybody who wants to improve themselves and to improve their life, to have a better quality of living. Because you go on a journey. This is the crux of the skill of his book. You go on a journey where you're forced to kind of confront your limitations. We're not as great as we think we are. We haven't achieved as much as we think we have achieved, and a lot of us can be living in kind of delusion, really, or some illusion. And it forces you, it kind of delicately takes you on that journey, which is it's a good journey. It's an exciting journey. So he talks about character is destiny. So when we're in solitude, like everyone is, like the first question you asked me, it's a great opportunity to assess one's character. Character is destiny. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Why do we keep making the same mistakes, the same failed relationships, the same failed jobs? Because our character is formed, our personality traits and character is formed in childhood, right? So it helps us to kind of tap into that and review that, and then develop ways and mechanisms to channel that into something positive, cultivating a more positive future for ourselves. It really is amazing stuff.
yeah, no doubt, Pepsi, and that was eloquently said. You definitely do have great not only listening skills but oratorical skills as well. And likewise, uh, Robert Greene has made a huge impact on myself, and you reminded me to get back into that book too, Pepsi, because I did start it. But I'm actually just finishing up Sam Samworth's book on Strange Ways right now, which is really good. And then this other book, which I want you to read, Pepsi, called The Octopus of Global Control by Charlie Robinson, which is this guy from Colorado in the United States. But do you have any new book requests, Pepsi, that we could try to get to?
Yeah, I mean, that book you just mentioned, the Robinson. I mean, just fire it into me, and I'll get stuck into it. I've got a signed copy of Samworth's book sent in to me just a few days ago. I've zipped through about 6 chapters of it. I think Samworth deserves a lot of credit for his book. I think it's a fantastic read from what I've read so far. Um, it shows like no other book that I've read. Just the sheer impact of on the health of prison officers that these toxic, damaging environments have on the workforce. A workforce of prison officers that have been neglected for years and years and years and years and underfunded and cut, right, left and centre austerity by successive governments where they've just neglected this, like I said before, this unsung hero workforce who are coming into these toxic, damaging environments. And then he also describes how he sort of indirectly describes staff culture within prison establishments and displays how as professionals professionals, we can become products and do become products of our environment. It's a phenomenal read, and government ministers should take note of Samworth's book, and people like Samworth are people that, next generation legislators should be talking to and learning from, and listening to, about how best to create a criminal justice and penal system that gives the taxpayer value for their pound. It's a really good read. Yes, I'll carry on reading that one as well.
Wow, that's great, Pepsi. I did not know that. So shout out to the person who sent that to you, that signed copy from Sam. And I am also reading it, as I said, and finishing up. Yeah, it's quite a book, and I definitely recommend people check it out. And I agree, Pepsi. I do think that it has this potential, and it should be used in legislative change. It is that I think important of a book. But do you have any tips, Pepsi, for just going back a little bit to the meditation? Because I do think it's you get a lot of benefits from doing it, and it doesn't take that long. But especially the cumulative effect of it, I think, really is powerful. But do you have any tips for starting out meditating, and maybe you remember the struggles you had when you first started, or still do maybe?
I mean, there's various different tips and techniques, that I can go through, but it's a very personal thing, Addy. Meditation is a very personal thing, and it's something that you really need to experience yourself, and you need to come and try it for yourselves. This is what the Eastern mystics would always kind of promote. But it's not a preaching thing. It's come and try it for yourselves. It's what. So I would kind of refrain from giving any like specific tips. But I can share my lived experience. When I started it a few years ago, I would try and do it as soon as I woke up in the morning, because as soon as I wake up in the morning, and as soon as we wake up in the morning, that's when the chatter of a thousand monkeys, that incessant chatter, that voice, that noise, the movie show in the mind, the false mind-made sense of self, the movie show non-stop, just goes on and on. That's when it starts. I've got to do this today, I've got to do that today, I've got to go here, there. So I would just try and get my feet on the floor as soon as possible. I'd set my timer, I'd shut my eyes, and I would just try and breathe and be still. And that's kind of how I did it. In terms of, that's how I started to get into it. In terms of what what I would say is, I would advocate the necessity, importance of the daily application of it. The consistency of the application. That is the key. The consistency of it, the practice of it. Practicing it, and not trying to achieve or hoping to achieve anything from it. Because as soon as we're trying to achieve something from it, the whole point of it is missed. Right? If that kind of makes sense. In terms of how it benefited me, my lived experience, all fear leaves you, all anxiety leaves you, all depression leaves you. You stop wanting things. Your kind of need for and want an obsession for materialistic things leaves you. You feel strong. You feel powerful. You start to observe yourself think. You become a master of emotional control. And these are the benefits that I've realised from the consistent daily application and practice of meditation at times of my life when I've done it.
Wow, that's great advice, Pepsi, and I'm in full agreement with you on the power of it. I noticed even with small things like myself, like stubbing your toe, the emotional negative reaction, I noticed in myself it was a lot less, and I would cool down a lot more quickly after I started meditating for a while. But we are at about 25 minutes here, Pepsi, so we're nearing the end of our call. Is there anything else you wanna say to the people who are listening, who are supporting you, or anything else that you wanted to mention as far as your writing or reading or future projects?
Yeah, I've got some poetry. I'll read it out if you want.
Yeah, please do, Pepsi.
Right. So this artwork is called Pain is Art. Yeah. So this is an extract from some works that I've been writing ever since I was really cool. This is like number 6 or 7. I'm up to like number 10 now. So just briefly, I wrote this in Thameside, and then I've kind of added bits to it. But I wrote this when I was detained in Thameside, and I wrote it at a time when I was really battling with my mental health, and I was quite suffering quite a lot, and I was having really severe nightmares attributed to PTSD, very vivid nightmares, and I was the inspiration for this was kind of that experience coupled with the motivation and courage and hope that I was receiving at that time from all the cards and letters and poems and postcards that other people had sent me, Addy. So, I had them all over my wall, and I had all the cards up on my wall and the pictures and postcards and stuff that people had sent me. And I just started writing. That was kind of where the inspiration came from, like I was saying earlier. So, I'll read this out. Let me just catch my breath. This is called Pain is Art, yeah? Still there?
Yeah, I'm listening, Pepsi. Go ahead, brother.
Right. The red roses with glitter, the Bob Dylan song lyrics, the red and blue parrots and koala bears in Oz, the nature, your nurture, green and red lion kings, thank you, you are my queens and kings. I'd fight the power kangaroos on moons, planets covered by winds and blues, with their glows and dustless perfect lights, altruistic giving, no quarrels, no fights, playful children in parks with kites, hedge fund dudes with guitars in Hong Kong playing a tune, Jupiter with its storm stripes and 4 of its 67 moons. Your love inspires me when low, cute puppies, sunflowers, a rainbow, a black and white pictured oak tree in Mitcham by a lawn. I'm blessed she was born at dawn, my mother Dawn. Such freedom this writing brings, thank you. You are my queens and kings. You inspire me, elevate me, uplift me. Rest assured they will never break me. In fact, the adversity made me, it's a fact. This adversity makes me. Repetition, repetition. This writing is habitual. Maybe I'll attend poetry clubs in the capital. Sport poppies with Manchester Ben and blue suits and Raymond Fields. Belgravia cigar clubs where bankers deal. French artists kick back in the company of silks and psychotherapists, sip whiskey, psychoanalyze psychotherapists, Arabian architects, actors, like sculptors create art. This pain is art. This is 2020 Noah's Ark art. This is class art, masterclass art, past the whiskey glass. Nominate cigars, pass by the bar, spark cigars under stars, chew fat in Chelsea, send for Uber cars toward West End bars. Shout out to the movement on foot or in cars. All prison staff from my past are welcome for a king's feast at the Mandarin Oriental, London, Hyde Park. I've been punished, I've paid my dues. Shout out Rikers Island, the boys in Harlem and the crews. The biggest risk I pose is fluffing my lines on Sky News. Love keeps no record of wrongs. Whatever happens, keep on keeping on. Love, don't hate, no matter the pain inflicted by the state. London Bridge attackers are not born to hate. Whatever happens, keep on keeping on until the storm's past, the darkness gone. Love brings light, your love brings light, inspires the fight, ignites the fight, fuels the fight, expands the fight, unified. From 1 million yards, the postcards, poems, the photos, the cards. People say, I'll mail you. Chicago, Canada, Wisconsin, Australia. The movement grows, the fight broadens, inspiring a policeman at crime scene cordons. Mental health, your pain brings me sadness. Kids swing from ropes in the woods, but light in the darkness. That is the meaning of hope. All it ever seems is steep uphill. Drink, smoke, take pills, numb the pain. No, feel the pain, embrace the pain. Pain is growth, pain is cleansing. That's where the treasure is. Be brave with the courage of 1,000 soldiers. That's where the treasure is. The measure of a man or woman is the capacity of which we can love by recognizing ourselves in others despite everything. Shout out to the jailers. I smile, laugh with, high five the jailers. Smooth seas, never have, never did, make skillful sailors. Love, don't hate, help others, meditate, concentrate, like pro golfers putting. This content is on the edge of cutting. I'm in so much pain, I feel like cutting. Pepsi Watson, digital activists, go to work, then come straight back to this. Speak truth, they cannot handle this. They think they're smart with poor quality report words. How's this for a playlist? How's this for words? How's this for report writing? Truth personified in words. I know my words hurt. Click share these words. Can you spot the famous film words? Go to the comments, discuss, use words. Locked up for life for speaking true words. Break free from the herd. Modern thinkers are dangerous words. Locked up in a cell, bored. My pain is art. It's all I can afford. Inspired, for I have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. The secret to life is to love, not hate. Disciplined, detained behind gates. London Bridge attackers are not born to hate. They are made by the British state. This master copy took 19 hours straight. Meditate on Oasis and Nelly Furtado, from Brixton to Chicago, locked up with the drillers. The fake personas, persistent moaners, a selfish hoarder. COVID-19 is a new world order. Priti Patel just shut down the border. Far-right government, racist government. One more generation, one world government. Some say a government is a necessary evil. I say 2020 is the year of a people. True power is possessed by a people. An uprising of people, rise up a people. In the UK, there are 340,000 homeless people. These are people. Some are British soldiers who fought for the people. Respect to my people. One love to my team. I read Robert Greene. They take care of logistics. Study Aristotle, quantum physics, and a mystic. Adapt the logistics under the cosh. Pain is art. Ask Quadrix Josh. Masterclass artist. The broken heart of an artist. The oppressed are under the cosh. Respect to the mother of Josh. One love to the mother of Josh. This is not about YouTube views or dosh. Freedom isn't free. Freedom costs. Repeat. Freedom costs. Reiterate. Freedom costs. Did you hear what I said? Your freedom costs. Who's next to be lost? Death threats don't faze me a lot. Inspiring children is worth it. Children talking about my art to a lollipop lady is worth it. That's pain is art, man.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Pepsi. People are they're really liking it. I'm just looking at the comments here from everyone, and they really like that poetry, man. And a couple people were saying it sounded like rap, and I agree, man. You should start a rap career when you get out.
I don't know about that. I just write what's in my heart. I just write what's in my heart from my experience, from the inspiration of my lived experience, from the inspiration of others. You know, I write it down. But I appreciate the comments and the love. You know, it's very touching, very humbling. It gives me immense courage and hope to continue putting one foot in front of the other and to keep on doing everything I can with the limited resources available to me despite the adversity and the extremity of my situation, to just still to try and shine and flourish and excel, you know?
Yeah, definitely, Pepsi. Yeah, we got a lot of great comments here from Phoebe and Rock Girl, Chopping Logs, Quadrex, Dolly, just saying we love you. Judy's reaching out too. So yeah, we really appreciate the knowledge, Pepsi, and the wisdom that you have accrued in your time incarcerated, and appreciate you sharing it. Do you think you'll be able to do this again next week?
Yeah, we can go again. Yeah, no worries, man. We'll sort it out. 6 o'clock on next Saturday. Yeah.
6 o'clock London time. Thank you so much, Pepsi. Have a great week, brother. We're thinking of you.
All the best, man. God bless you, brother. Take
Cheers.
care.
Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. I think we did have a brief audio interruption there for a second. Not sure what happened with StreamYard, but thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, we'll be interviewing Pepsi next week, same time, 6 p.m. London time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all for tuning in, guys. I'm figuring out a way to route this audio as high quality as possible for everyone. It's a bit of a task, but we're figuring it out. His family's been really helpful. His mom. So yeah, we're just trying to route that audio high quality so people can hear Pepsi. But later today, I'm interviewing Richard Gage from the Architects of 9/11 organization. He's the founder. So if people want to check that out, it'll be later tonight, around 4 or 5 Pacific time. So a little later, like 7 or 8 Eastern time, if people want to check that out. I got a lot more interviews coming up soon as well. Got an interview with a sexologist, a woman who studies sex and intersexual relationships, and a couple more authors as well. I'm really excited for. Got Nick Bryant on, the trailblazer in the Epstein case. So I'm really excited for that. We actually were supposed to talk yesterday, but something came up, so we're going to talk tomorrow instead. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate that. Trying to think of what else we got. Yeah, so yeah, just those interviews in the works. So be on the lookout for that. So again, Richard Gage this evening, guys. Hopefully you can tune into that. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Pepsi Watson live from prison.